Okay, so as you guys can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about something that is 100% going to be a split decision amongst you guys in the comments, and that is Garo in the webcomic versus Garo in the manga. Now, at face value, a lot of you elitists in the fan base will be like, it's obviously, webcomic Garo, but trust me, manga Garo is not as bad as you guys, make him out to be. And in this video, I'm going to try and compare these two kind of subjectively. This is just kind of my opinion, and I'll have a section of the video that's more objective, from just an outsider's, well, I'll try to be an outsider, looking into the One Punch Man community and seeing how they receive manga Garo compared to how they received webcomic Garo. But of course, before we get into all that good stuff, make sure you leave a like, because if you guys can't already tell, I'm a One Punch Man connoisseur. Anything One Punch Man, that's my field. I eat that shit up easily. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have to really say. Let's just get into the video. Now, I will be grading, or kind of, making a judgment based off of these two things: enjoyment and execution. And I don't really need to explain these two things, because from the demographic of who watches my videos, you guys should know the definitions of these two words. So of course, we're gonna try and start with the webcomic Garo, which I guess from an outsider's perspective is the Garo that a lot of people prefer. But let's talk about why the webcomic version might not actually be better than the manga. Now, for me personally, in terms of enjoyment of the webcomic, 100%, Garo in the webcomic is easily a 9 out of 10 enjoyment, maybe even a 10 out of 10, because Garo for me is still the best villain One Punch Man has to offer, until we obviously get more information about God himself, who is kind of confirmed to be the final villain of the series. But of course, enjoyment for Garo is 100% a 9 out of 10. Garo in the webcomic was sinister, dark. He did all sorts of things that kind of just wasn't exactly One Punch Man's style, if you get what I mean. One Punch Man is a pretty it's a pretty violent series. It has a lot of violence, but it's not really gory and dark. It doesn't get as dark as how it got when webcomic Garo was the center of everything. And I feel that was a nice shift from the typical One Punch Man stuff. Even though One Punch Man is a seinen and does cover more grown-up things, or shows more things that are aimed towards a higher demographic in terms of age, I feel this was on a completely different level. Garo was going crazy in the webcomic against the S-Class, against the other heroes. He was going absolutely insane. And I mean, some of the dialogue that he was saying was definitely something that I wouldn't expect to see in One Punch Man, or in a typical One Punch Man chapter in the webcomic. So it was a good change, and it was really enjoyable. I loved Garo in the webcomic, and I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. So I mean, as I said before, in terms of enjoyment, webcomic Garo is an easy 9 out of 10. I'm not surprised why a lot of people do prefer the webcomic version. But I feel of course, when it comes to art, the manga easily beats the webcomic. But I feel the reason why, I'll get into this later on when we're talking about the manga, but I feel the reason why I feel some people may prefer the manga version is maybe because there are additions of monsters that Garo was able to go up against that we didn't see in the webcomic. For example, Sage Centipede is an example, of course, and even Vomited Fury Ugly. Those guys were pretty cool sequences from Garo, and some people may see that as filler, etc, etc, but some people may see that as something that they wanted to see in the webcomic but they didn't get. So that's always, you always have to look at both sides of things. But anyway, execution for the webcomic, and I can say that the execution for the webcomic is a 10 out of 10. I would say the webcomic's pacing was perfect. I would say maybe not 10, maybe a 9.5. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel good giving anything a 10 out of 10. So I'd say maybe a 9.5, maybe a 9. I feel the execution was so good. I didn't even realize the pacing. I didn't even realize pacing was a thing when I was reading One Punch Man, because it wasn't even relevant, because everything just seemed so cohesive. And I really liked the way the webcomic, approached the whole Monster Association. Definitely one of the best things about the Monster Association arc in Garo in the webcomic was the execution of Garo, and the times where Garo came in, you know, the times where Garo had to, you know, do his whole speech and the things Garo did, his fights, etc., etc. All of that was very, very, very good in my opinion, especially when I was reading the webcomic for the first time, because I actually read the manga, then I read the webcomic because I wanted to be updated. And once I read the webcomic, I was like, damn, I really love One's writing. That's probably why I like Mob Psycho a lot. But, you know, I feel like that does it for webcomic Garo. For me personally, if I was to give it, like, on average, the rating for webcomic Garo for me would be like a 9 out of 10. I feel like that's a good average score to give webcomic Garo, maybe 9.5, but Garo again is, as I said before, one of the best villains in One Punch Man ever. So, but anyway, let's just move on to manga Garo now. Manga Garo, this might not be as long because I don't really feel like I need to talk too much about manga Garo. It's pretty simple compared to the webcomic. And let's talk about enjoyment for Garo. And for me personally, this is just, again, subjective. And I said before, I will go into objective stuff later on, but subjectively, from just my opinion, I would say manga Garo enjoyment is like a 9 out of 10. Pretty much the exact same as webcomic. I feel like since we haven't seen the dark side of Garo, which I am 100% confident we're going to get in the next couple of chapters, I feel like it's safe to say he would be like a 9 out of 10, because there would be no reason for manga Garo to be worse in enjoyment than the webcomic version. The manga version is supposed to be like, I guess, even a better version of the webcomic, so I wouldn't see why they would make it like worse than the webcomic, since One is the one writing the manga, so, and he wrote the webcomic, so it would make sense that they would be the same and maybe even better, since he has help from Murata, or maybe worse because maybe Murata has, you know, chosen stuff that maybe isn't exactly like One's writing. But for me personally, I don't see anything wrong with, you know, Garo in the manga in terms of enjoyment. I feel like the Mesobat situation kind of gave a little bit of a light-hearted tone to Garo, which we always knew Garo had, but wasn't exactly like shown in the webcomic as much, which I guess some people prefer and some people don't. Again, this is just subjective, but I feel like I kind of like that a little bit. Although it did slow things down, which personally I did think it needed, I still feel like enjoyment was still like a solid 9 out of 10. And plus, you know, the addition of different monsters and the fights, that again, and the arts, all of that comes, you know, under the same category as enjoyment. But of course, finally, let's go on to the execution. Now, execution, this is going to be pretty short, but I feel like the execution for Garo in the manga is probably like maybe an 8 out of 10. I feel like maybe the pacing could be better. I feel like maybe the Sage Centipede whole, you know, fight maybe could have been quicker. I feel like Garo getting to this form could have maybe gone a little bit quicker as well. You know, this is just my opinion. But I feel like the execution would be like a 8 out of 10. I want to keep this short and sweet because the execution is like something that you can't really expand upon too much. It's just kind of a thing where, like, is the pacing good enough? Is, like, you know, are these additions necessary? And when it comes to additions, it's kind of subjective. Some people prefer it, some people don't. But, like, again, that's pretty much all I have to say for execution for the manga. It's like a solid 8 out of 10. And in terms of, like, I guess the overall perception from the outside's perspective, I'm trying to be like an outsider of the One Punch Man community looking in. And if I was to say like how I feel like the community is responding to manga Garo, I would say it's definitely not as good as the webcomic. I would say it's like it's definitely not as good, to be honest. I can't even sugarcoat it. It's just blatant to see that people aren't enjoying manga Garo as much as webcomic Garo. But as I said before, this is definitely going to change. Trust me, in the next couple of chapters, we're going to see a huge shift for Garo. And once that happens, we're going to see the hype go straight back up, just like how it was like back before chapter like 156. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. And I forgot to say the average score for manga Garo, but the average score for manga Garo would be like a 8.5, maybe like probably like an 8.5. Whilst the average score for the webcomic Garo would be like a 9 or 9.5. So from my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, I feel like the webcomic Garo is better. I do prefer webcomic Garo, but you know, manga Garo isn't too far behind. And not to mention, manga Garo still hasn't been concluded, so manga Garo could still very well overtake webcomic Garo in, you know, my preference. But that's it for this video. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.